Uh, Here's an article I really love, and maybe it's a bit humorous. I don't know, but I think you might like it. And again, by Jeff Worrell, I like this guy. He writes a lot of good stuff. 7 things never to tell your customers. 7 things never to tell your customers. And I'm going to kind of skip over a little bit of the basic stuff here, but here they are in order. Number 1, why are you doing that for him? That's pretty much what a hard store owner's flip remark meant, and it sounded ludicrous to say, but service for a customer. In other words, you're trying to help somebody and the boss is saying, why are you doing it for that guy? That's just an absolutely ridiculous thing to say, but it's also indicative of a business person who doesn't either know what customer service is or doesn't give a heck's nut whether his employees provide that or not. So never. Oh, I love this one. I've never heard somebody say this, but number 2, are you sure you can afford this? Now, I gave an example that when on a visit to a nearby greenhouse, the manager cajoled an employee who had a customer who was looking at something pretty expensive to say, now, you sure you can afford this? Defies explanation on that, why anybody would say that. It's up to the customer to decide what they can or cannot afford. All right? It's up to that. That's up to that customer. Period. Now, that's my philosophy on that. I have heard this. This next one I have heard. I've been up to a convenience store and they had a customer that was kind of confused and ahead of them and whatever, and finally they made their purchase and left, and the cashier said, not exactly in his words, but what an idiot the last guy was. Look, keep your opinions have your employees keep their opinions to themselves about the customers. It is the customer who is paying the bills. Now, nobody has to take an abusive customer. They don't pay you enough money to take abuse, okay? But sometimes people need an additional extra hand, or they're confused or whatever. That's a sure way that I wouldn't come back to your store. If you're talking about your another customer that way, you sure don't want me to hear you doing that, because I definitely won't be back. So don't do that. Number 4, we don't have it. Had that happen before, and I bet you have too. However succinct, this is a repeat offender. Look, but just hearing the words no, I don't have it, it's the same thing as hearing no, and that's just pretty much tantamount to adding the words and stay out. Don't leave things hanging like that, all right? If you don't have something available for a customer, offer alternatives to what they want. Maybe you've got something else that'll work, okay? Or showing some goodwill and refer them to another store or possibly even a competitor. All right? Do the right thing. Do the smart thing. Just don't say we don't have it. Never, okay, number 5, I like this one. Never, ever, ever make fun of somebody's name. Don't do it. That's people take that very personally. But yet, employees out there in grocery stores and restaurants and wherever, are guilty of making fun of people's names. Don't ever do that. Number 6. I haven't a clue about what I'm talking about, and I'll ramble on regardless. You might be saying that about me. I hope not. But, when somebody really doesn't know, this is the brand X version of a number of ill-conceived remarks, okay, ranging from a bank clerk who loudly gives a customer her mutual fund recommendations. Don't strangle your employees, really, eagerness to help clients and customers, but urge them to stick to what they know, right? Stick to what they know and which they're familiar with. If they don't know something, make sure they refer the customer to an employee who does. That's just common sense. And number 7, and this is really cliche. How many times you heard somebody say, an employee, man, I only work here. You know what that's saying? I really don't give a rat's ass. Okay? I really don't. I'm not going to try to help you. I just work here. Not my fault, not my problem. Your employees, if you hear an employee saying that, that's really what they're saying. There's tantamount to saying I don't really care. You need to address that one and address it really, really hard. Instead, make sure that your people know that there's someone likely available who can tackle something that's beyond what they know. So you want that you want them. Don't ever do that. That's just bad. But these are 7, I think, some really good tips to kind of keep your ears open when you do have employees that's talking to the public. You want to make sure that none of these things ever come up in your business, and maybe you'll gain some customer loyalty about it. I know that doesn't have anything to do with technology, but definitely by putting these ideas into practice, if you've got a business, and I don't know of one that really doesn't, that has to deal with people, make sure this isn't happening, and it certainly will help that cash register ring.